Assalamualaikum, my name is Sandiaga Uno. You know, I think 2 or 3 years ago, I got a call, middle of the night, I got a call and then, hey, Dino, it's Sandy, right? And he had just been appointed as Minister for Tourism and Creative Economy. He said, can you be my advisor, right? And then I said, well, it depends, how much you're gonna pay me, right? Right, you know, we're Indonesian government, you know, we don't have budget for things like that, you know. And then we went back and forth and we made a deal, right? And we agreed on a price for my salary. And Cindy, can you put it, it was reported on CNN, this is why, there you go. So the price was dendeng balado, which is rendang, every month. 1 box of rendang, he sends me every month as my salary, right? So let's. By the way, Minister, the shipment is getting thinner and thinner every month. So we need to fix that. Yeah.
Inflation, bro.
Oh, inflation.
Inflation.
Okay. Yeah. So,
but seriously, it's getting thinner?
A little bit thinner. So we need to double up on the dendeng balado. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, because the whole family loves it. Yeah.
Noted. Okay.
So look, we are very happy to have Pak Sandiaga Uno here. Pak Sandiaga Uno is one of the most popular ministers in the cabinet, right? He's young, he's energetic, and you know, the reason why he was laughing earlier was because I asked him, look, how old are you? You know, are you older or younger than me? And he took it as an offense because he's obviously feeling younger than me. You know, he's 54 years old, I'm 58. But yesterday we saw another politician, which was Governor Ridwan Kamil, which is a good friend of Pak Sandiaga Uno. But I think what I want to say, if you saw Pak Ridwan Kamil last night and you will see Sandiaga Uno now, you see a new breed of Indonesian politicians. Yeah, a new generation. What does that mean? Not just they're young, but they are meritocratic, they are technocratic, they're not dogmatic, they're not ideological, yeah, they're not burdened by dogmas, right? They are solution-oriented, right? They are into social media, right? And they are populist, but in a different way that is being used in the West, right? Populist in the West means you just go out there and you say things that please the crowd, right? But if you see Sandiaga Uno, for example, he achieved things, he resolved challenges, but he does it in a way that makes the public understand and appreciate what he's doing. Yeah, through messaging, through social media, and other things, right? It's really, and they're very open-minded, yeah, and Western educated also. So, you know, it's a new breed of leadership, emerging leaders in Indonesia. And you know, I think it's happening in other parts of ASEAN as well. But Minister Sandi has been very hyper energetic, right? If you follow his Instagram, he's running all over the place every day. Yeah, he never stands still. He's a runner. He runs a marathon, right? I don't know what his time is, but he's an avid marathon runner. And I can guarantee you this: I don't know what he will do politically, but I guarantee you, in the next 20 years or so, you will keep seeing Sandiaga Uno in one position or another, in one capacity or another, being one of the leaders of Indonesia who will inspire the nation and who will build the nation and who will promote regional cooperation in the context of ASEAN. Minister Sandi, thank you very much for being here, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Pat Dino. I'm so sorry for the when you have inflations, the small medium enterprises solutions for inflations is not to increase price or just increase it a little bit. But what they do is they reduce the size and the portions, so much so that their margin stays at 30%. And many of you are business people here, you understand. So when you see shampoo, the sachet becomes smaller and smaller and smaller. This is what happened to my payment to you, Ambassador Dino. The dendeng is getting thinner and thinner, and I apologize to you and Rosa, and I'll make up to you. I'll send double portion next month. But truly, Dr. Dino Patti Djalal, I call him Excellency Ambassador Dino, has been a true friend because of early in my tenure and like days after my appointment as minister, the COVID situations actually peaked. And I need a lot of help. And one of the help that I could think of for international relationship and messaging to this 45 million people living their lives under the umbrella of tourism and creative economy, and millions of tourists around the world, is to make sure that our messaging is very, very precise, shows optimisms, but also being cautious because of the COVID pandemic. So I would like, on the bottom of my heart and on behalf of the Ministry of Tourism and Creative Economy, thank Dr. Dino, and please give a big hand to Dr. Dino. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon and warmest greeting to you all. I feel cold. That's why they asked me to wear a suit, but I'm going to Pangkal Pinang after this in Bangka Belitung. And this is something that I need to fix actually, because it's part of tourism, hotels, and they need to reduce the amount of energy that they're using. And we're working on it. So if you feel very cold, the GM will get a call from my office sometime today so that they would sort of like do energy conservancies, and that's what we're trying to do as part of our transformations to green economy. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I'll be very brief because you guys know the subjects very well, but I have a few slides that I would like to share. I'm fresh from Labuan Bajo. We just concluded the first leg of the ASEAN Summit, and this Labuan Bajo is a new destinations in East Nusa Tenggara that's only recently being developed by the government. And over the last 3 days, ASEAN leaders congregate. It's, I think, quite an achievement because we have limited number of hotels, but we are offering different unique experience for delegates as well as participants by living on board, or we LOB we call it. Many of the guests staying in the rooms within the PNC boats, and some homestays and tourism village. So truly the ASEAN Summit offer quite a unique, because the safest decisions will be to do it in Jakarta or Bali, but President Jokowi would like to take chance, and it's part of the powering ASEAN's creative economy for sustainable growth, because the creative economy is blossoming, not only in Labuan Bajo and Indonesia, but also in the rest of ASEAN. Some numbers: 3% of global GDP is a creative economy, and approximately 30 million people within ASEAN. And it has the potentials to generate employment 6 times more than typical industrial sectors. It fosters also cultural diversity, utilize digital technologies, and contribute to sustainable development. Indonesia in particular played a pivotal role in transforming the region's creative economy by proposing the declarations of 2021 UN International Year of Creative Economy for Sustainable Development. And so far, last year, 2022, it contributed close to $27 billion to our GDP, create almost 24 million jobs, and generated close to 1,200, almost 1,300 trillion rupiah of economic value added. We have also strategic programs to implement in terms of digital transformations, to provide financial assistance, improving ICT infrastructures, and the adoptions of digital technologies on a 360 basis. Secondly, what we do is nurture creative talents by reforming our educations. Other than Pak Ridwan Kamil, somebody who's in really digital space is our Minister of Education, Nadiem Makarim, and we're reforming our educations to include technologies and also involve SMEs for capacity building initiatives. And one thing that is very, very key in terms of creative economy development is intellectual property rights. So we're introducing under our new law to recognize this intellectual property rights through partnership and networking. We do have some programs that we're willing to share with you. Some of the programs are here, and Pak Dino have been advising in most of this program. And also we are developing this Creative Economy National Competency Standard Development Training Program, as well as certifications program. Somebody mentioned about the World Conference on Creative Economy that we're doing every other year in Bali. And we hope that this event will be the economic catalyst to empower local communities for fostering stakeholders' participations and driving inclusive economic growth for the future. We are strongly advocating under President Jokowi, the Creative Economy Business Forum as part of the ASEAN framework, and ASEAN Way is always part of how we push stronger economic integrations. We've done, I think, a lot on peace and security, stability, whereby Pak Dino has spoken very, very eloquently about, but we have a big homework in terms of how we integrate our economy better. For instance, electric vehicle ecosystems, how the ASEAN countries can work together. Philippines and Indonesia have the on the upstream side, but on the funding and also on the manufacturing side, Malaysia and Singapore, as well as Thailand and Cambodia could chip in. So we believe that we need to plan better to further enhance discussions for our collaborations. And creative economy needs stronger collaborations through wonderful celebration initiative. This is something that we're doing for the Vision 2045. So I'd like to stop here, but the last thing I want to talk about before we discuss with Pak Dino is how creative economy holds great potential for sustainable growth and development in ASEAN. And the ASEAN is a region of $3.3 trillion economy, 680 million people, and it is the epicentrum of growth. While other countries battling with, or other regions battling with slowdown in the economy, banking instability, some see inflation numbers skyrocket to 10% or maybe more. ASEAN, we need to really be grateful, but that this is epicentrum of growth. It provides peace and stability, and truly ASEAN matters. So thank you very much for having me. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Excellency Sandiaga Uno, for your special address sharing the extensive efforts of Indonesia's creative economy. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now be having an interactive session with the Minister, which will be moderated by Dr. Dino. But due to time constraints, we can only afford 2 questions on the floor. So So thank you, Dr. Dino. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for that presentation. But do want to ask you a personal question.
Sure.
I think we switched sides. I was in government. I went to the private sector. You were in private sector. You were an investment banker, one of the very well-known, high-profile investment banker. You're in public service. I'm just wondering, in your experience, what is the difference working in government, working in the bureaucracy? What is the biggest difference from the private sector?
There are a lot of, we in the private sectors really value innovations. So when we innovate something, meaning that you found a task, and if you find a way to do it faster, cheaper, as well as better quality, you get rewarded in the private sectors. In the government, you will see hurdles after hurdles when you introduce innovations, because government is not equipped to innovate and to do massive changes. So bureaucracy is really slow in terms of innovations. But there are positive side also in the government. This marks my 7th year being a politician, and I was part of the local government here in Jakarta, and now I've been assigned at the ministerial level. Government has institutional discipline, and this is something that private sectors should need also, in terms of focusing on areas that, oh, thank you. You switch off the aircon. Good job. That's if you're in the government, I say something, probably they will switch off the aircon 3 days later. But here, look how quickly I had similar things in my office 5 days ago. Pak Dino, I said, I feel very cold. Can you reduce the aircon or switch off the aircon? Until I went home at 5 p.m., the aircon is still blasting, That takes how much time in terms of changes in the government takes place. And I don't exaggerate, but institutional discipline is something that the private sectors could learn from the government, because they are so focused on, we call it 2C here, tugas dan fungsi. So basically, I will not move outside my line of duties and my line of functions. So that's, I guess, the two extreme sides. Not all are bad in government, but it is changing very fast under the current president. I think it's also, you were part of the very reform government before. We continue to accelerate some of these changes, and hopefully we'll be able to deliver what really the people need.
Yeah, I think when you came into politics, there was a trend among the young people that they don't want to join public service. They're very cynical, skeptical towards public institutions. I think, my staffs, none of them want to apply for government. Do you think that this time is different? Do you see more young people driven by idealism wanting to join government instead of being outside government?
I'd like to be very open and honest about this. We're struggling to get good talent. Your ministry, your ex-ministry, for Minister of Foreign Affairs, get the best of the talents. Some other ministries, and we have to really beg from your ministry to get some of the talents to fill up the posts. So the younger guys now, because of social media, and they see tourism and creative economy, and they look at my posting, my Instagrams, my TikTok, they say, younger guys now looking to apply for, I guess, positions in the civil sector, although it's not the trend that we're seeing in the private sectors. Because if you see, the best of the best talents are still going to management consultancies, investment banking, or audit firms when you're in the economic side. But more and more now looking into working to contribute. And I kept on telling them, yes, yesterday we had this new batch of new civil servants come in. I said that, are you guys ready to suffer? Are you guys ready to not be able to post in your social media the luxury that you experience or something like that? Because right now the level of transparencies provided by social media is so very, very detailed that people will see, oh, how come this guy owns this car and he only earns this much? And it's become a public discussions, open public discussions, and suddenly, whether you realize it, now people are scrutinizing all civil servants, all government officials, whether they, how they live, what type of bags they're wearing, what type of shoes, are they committed to, favor Indonesian products, and so on and so forth.
Minister, I saw one of your posts on your Instagram where you got really angry at some foreign tourists in Bali who were misbehaving, right? Can you tell us about this here?
Yeah, this is a challenge, and don't get this wrong. There's only one or two cases that completely change the narratives. There are probably 99.99% of international tourists behave. They respect the local culture, they respect the rules and laws, when they use motorcycle, they wear helmets. But there are one or two who are just completely, they're rascals. They don't wear helmets. They
think they can get away from the law.
They think they can get away from the law, and they're showing that because during COVID we were suffering, this tourism sectors, and we really need every single dollar that's spent by this international tourists. But we need to deliver a very strong message that you're in Indonesia, and in particular in the island of Bali, where we respect local culture, traditions, and when you break the law, you need to pay consequence. So I need to deliver that, because if I don't do that, the 99.99% behaving tourists will say that this country has no law and not serious in implementing rules and regulations, and I'd rather go to elsewhere. So that's what I'm trying to send a message. And so far, Pak Dino, out of the target of 7.4 to 8.5 million, we're ahead of our target. I just guided the market, the industry, that you guys need to invest more. Like in Labuan Bajo, there's only 1,600 rooms, Pak Dino. The delegates is more than 700. I talked to Pak Arsyad the other day. He had to fly in all this ASEAN Business Advisory Council from Bali because they couldn't find rooms. So the industry is playing catch up. I told the industry, you need to put the development quick, because we're getting the better quality tourists, and they're staying longer and they're spending more into local economy.
You must have been surprised as I was when Crazy Rich Asians, the film, broke records and became the #1 movie in Hollywood, in the United States, in the Western world, and also other places. We're proud, Southeast Asian movies, Asian actors. But do you think this is a fluke, a one-time lucky thing, or can we see more hits like that coming from Southeast Asia? For songs and films, yeah.
As we develop our ecosystems, I think this is going to be the trend going forward. Indonesia's film industry, music, and ASEAN as a whole now produce world-class movies, songs, and other sectors of creative economy like animations, games. Singapore produce good quality games, and it's a $2 billion industry here in Indonesia. Our movie Jagat Jiwa just won the international award in South Africa, for instance. This trend will continue, and I think we need to collaborate more. We need to be ready to make sure that the crazy rich ASEANs, the next ones, will come here. But you see, Korea already won Oscar. I think in a matter of few years, not only Asian artists would be able to win the Academy Award, but also Southeast Asian movie, ASEAN countries movies will be able to compete. And as we strengthen the ecosystem, as we improve the educations, as our collaborations become stronger, I think it's a matter of time. We're gonna get more awards.
The MC is giving me looks now, but is it possible to take one more?
Yeah,
No?
a few more questions. I think.
Yes, good. Please. Pak Sopana, are you nodding or raise your hand if you want to ask a question? Anybody? Yes, please. Pak Iqbal from Malaysia.
Thank you very much, Pak Dino, and Your Excellency Sandiaga. The question that I want to ask is, within the ASEAN, we see a new kind of vibrancy that is coming out. Initiating this vibrancy, it appears, probably the little country Singapore was leading at one time and probably is on track. Next, we find that Indonesia, the biggest of the ASEAN member, is showing that excellence. What is the secret or the inspiration that individually yourself and Pak Dino, and of course Rizwan Kamil and others have taken, or as a nation, Indonesia is driving? Can you make a comment on that?
Thank you. I think Pak Dino started this organizations called Modernisators. It's been 10 years. It's been 10 years, and he put together a group of, we were much younger back then. But I was commenting that Pak Dino, after being out of the government, he looks younger. And he just gave me a couple of recipe how he looks younger. One of which is a steady dose of long distance running. I would not tell you the other one. Anyway, but that Modernisators is actually a good platform to answer your questions, because younger Indonesians now really see the potentials of how we could work together, because this country is so diverse with so many languages, so many ethnic groups, but we have a common, I would say, strive towards how this country can be great when the younger generations work together. And we need to think about how Indonesia is taking a much bigger role internationally. That also was the year when I started, together with some of our Modernisator member, received invitations to speak outside Indonesia. And our business is also growing, because it's so much potential, and there's so many opportunities that we could work together. 55% of the populations are young Indonesians below the age of 40. So I would say that the drive towards making sure that the younger generations have a voice, not only in business, but also in government and politics, Modernisata are able to put together. And now we see crisscrossing. People from business community goes into government, and I think from academia goes to business side. So all pentahelix are really vibrant and dynamic. And when you talk about creative economy, 11 unicorns and 2 decacorns, basically resulting in this growth in digital economy and transformations into upstreaming of many of the natural resources that we have. In the past, we focus on mining the natural resources and exporting it in a very small or little value added. Now, the government offering opportunities and incentives how this natural resources could be processed and create industries and ecosystems such as electric vehicle. Sustainability, when you talk about green economy, this is the epicentrum. I have a person who come and join me running every morning about 4 or 5 years ago, said that he has an idea of restoring peat soil by putting in cameras and assigning securities to make sure that it reduces forest burning. That company that he started with $1 million now is worth close to $75 million because they were able to sell carbon. Ideas such as this one coming up, and I'm more confident in terms of creative economy, it could create good quality jobs. When you see opportunities like this, and you know that if you work very hard, you'll be able to turn these opportunities into fortune. I think our aim to create 4.4 million new jobs next year in 2024 will be fulfilled.
Maybe by way as a last question, because I know Kamala in the back keeps giving me the hand sign. I want to ask you, Minister, in the last 2 years, the government, I think we all did, miss the signs of the coming risk. We missed the pandemic. Nobody thought, of all the risks, pandemic was not one of them. The following year, of all the risks, Russia's invasion of Ukraine was not one of them. As you look at your situation now, I know you go into a lot of cabinet meetings, and you're also a former investment banker, so you're always risk-minded. What is the risk that you see this year that worries you? Potential risk.
I was worried about inflation. I was really worried about rising interest rates. Thank God we have the banking stability. But I kept on, because I live very close to Pak Mahendra. Whenever I do my morning jogs, I said, please continue to do stress tests, because Credit Suisse, Pak Dino, when I was in business, Credit Suisse was like the name card that you would really want to be in your Rolodexes. Credit Suisse. From $60 billion about a few years ago, down to $30 billion to $10 billion, and one misstatement by somebody high up in one of their shareholders made it a $2 billion company. And they had to be bailed out. First Republic, it was the bank in San Francisco when I do my roadshows. Silicon Valley Bank. I was traveling from Berlin to Hong Kong. I arrived in Hong Kong, boom, there's a WhatsApp from my daughter. Dad, can you send some money, more money next month? I said, why? Because I may not be able to get my salary. My company is banking with Silicon Valley Bank, and at that time there was uncertainty whether they would be able to meet their obligations. And I think the list goes on and on and on, and we are very grateful. This is what the ASEAN has been a stable in terms of political. We have issues around us. Yesterday we announced very harsh words to Myanmar at the conclusion of the summit. But economic-wise, Indonesia being the largest economy in ASEAN continue to grow. We're looking at north of 5.3%. So, and on top of that, I used to worry more like on the external side, but we're gonna have elections next year. Being part of the elections last cycle, this time I'm more confident that the directions of the government will continue. Whoever will lead Indonesia in 2024 and beyond, the directions is set by previous government, and the current government will continue. And I think, fingers crossed, if we do things on an accelerated basis, we'll be able to be the fourth largest economy of the world by 2045.
Minister, if you want to clap, you can, by the way. So I want to confess to a bad thing that I do as tourists. When my family planned to travel for tourism, except for Bali, yeah, you know, I'm thinking last year we went to Copenhagen, right? And then Rome, Tan Sri also, right? He didn't go to Phuket, right? He went to Rome. We were together and so on. Many Southeast Asians, when they think about, hey, I want to travel someplace, they don't really think about Southeast Asian destination, except Bali, of course. Yeah. How do we fix that? Yeah.
We launched ASEAN as a single destination, and I think in the ASEAN Tourism Forum, which your group advised us on, we passed several guidelines in terms of joint promotions on the sub-region, because when we talk about ASEAN is quite big, and I think connectivity is huge issues. Like Labuan Bajo, you don't have direct flights from KL and from Singapore. Other destinations like Belitung, Danau Toba also struggle with connectivity. Secondly is, I would say, accommodations. You're in Bali, you're so pampered, and the services, hospitalities are probably world's best ranked, probably top in the world, but not shared in other ASEAN tourism destinations. But the Philippines have attractions, and I think Thailand is always very strong. We concluded the IMTGT, or we launched IMTGT Visit Year 2023-2025, whereby we are sharing best practices and seeing ASEAN as a single destination with improved connectivity, accessibility, and also improve, I would say, events, because you would go to a new place, if it's drawn by events. Sports tourism is big now. Marathon, but Dino joined us in 2011 to run the New York Marathon. Here in ASEAN, it's a perfect venues for sports tourism, such as triathlon, road biking, and so on and so forth. So this is something that we need to continue to work. Yes, there are competitions from Europe with nice weather and so on and so forth. But here in ASEAN, we are also have so many destinations to visit. So I would say that if we promote it better, if we collaborate stronger, we would be able to have more destinations in ASEAN as a single destination.
Let's give Pak Sandi in the interest of making this event create huge headline tomorrow country. I want to ask this question to Pak Sandi, which is, what's your plan for the 24 elections? Please give us the headline on this. Please, anything you want to say about that?
I was part of the 2019 elections, and one of the innovations
Running as vice president.
Yeah, that I was vice presidential candidate for Prabowo, General Prabowo, and the innovations that Pak Jokowi did, that we were able to put together is a unity government, whereby the two candidates that not prevail in the elections was asked to join the government. And I think in 2024, it's so fluid and dynamic. I just made a big decisions 3 weeks ago to leave the party that I've been with for the last 7 years to focus on 2024, to focus on what I can bring and offer to the accelerations of the development of Indonesia. It's still, I wish I could answer you, Pak Dino, but there are so many checkpoints that I need to pass, and all the candidates need to pass. We will have a much clearer answer probably come October, and February next year is the elections. The other innovations that the political communities have made is to make the campaign shorter. During my 2019 campaign, it was almost 9 months, and it's so costly. This time of the cycle is about 2 months, so I think it would not cost the country too long of uncertainties, and I would say that this is probably going to be swift, and I just really wish that the continuity and unity will be the main focus on these elections and the people's economy. That would be how we're going to create jobs, how we maintain inflation at the lower level, prices are affordable, and the country continue to grow. That's how I wish 2024, and we're preparing that to happen in the next few months.
You will remember when I joined government, I said to you, no matter what happened, we will always be friends. And then I stepped out, and he joined government, one of the top national icons, and that's exactly what he said to me. No matter what happens, we will always be friends. So I think reflect decency in your character. So thank you very much, Minister. We wish you all the best. And on behalf of all our participants, we wish you good luck in your next event in flight.
Thank you very much, Excellency.